Let me tell you something you already know but refuse to admit. Your life is slipping through your fingers while you make excuses. Every second you waste scrolling, hesitating, doubting yourself is another second your competition is out there grinding, leveling up, leaving you in the dust. You feel that knot in your stomach? That's your potential screaming at you to wake the hell up. This isn't just another video. This is your turning point. Right here, right now. I'm about to hit you with truth so raw, so brutally honest that by the time I'm done, you'll either be ready to conquer your demons or you'll stay exactly where you are, stuck, frustrated, watching life pass you by. But if you've got even an ounce of fight left in you, if you're tired of being average, tired of settling, tired of wondering what if, then you don't just watch this video. You'll absorb it. You'll let it burn through every excuse, every fear, every lie you've ever told yourself. Because what's coming next isn't motivation. It's a reckoning. And if you're brave enough to face it, your life won't be the same. So lean in, listen close. This is where the weak click away and where the strong finally rise. Let's start with a fundamental truth. One that most men never grasp until it's too late. Neediness is repulsive. It's not just unattractive, it's psychologically corrosive, both for you and for the woman you're pursuing. And here's why. Human beings at their core are wired to respect strength, not desperation. When you chase, when you beg, when you mold yourself into whatever you think she wants, you are broadcasting weakness. And weakness doesn't inspire love. It inspires pity, contempt, or worse, indifference. Think about it this way. What do people naturally gravitate toward? Confidence, purpose, self-assuredness. A man who is solid in who he is, who doesn't crumble at the first sign of disinterest, who doesn't rearrange his entire life just to keep a woman's attention, that man is magnetic. He doesn't have to convince anyone of his worth because his worth is self-evident. And that's the key difference between a man who is pursued and a man who is ignored. Now, let's break down the psychology behind this. Neediness stems from one critical error: externalizing your value. You start believing that your worth is determined by how much attention she gives you, how quickly she replies, whether she chooses you over someone else. That's a fatal mistake. Because the moment you place your sense of self in someone else's hands, you've already lost. You've made yourself dependent on their validation. And that dependency is what kills attraction. Women and people in general don't fall in love with those who depend on them for emotional survival. They fall in love with those who stand firmly on their own. So how do you fix this? You reverse the equation. Instead of asking, does she like me? You ask, do I like her? Instead of worrying about whether she'll leave, you ask, does she meet my standards? This shift is everything. Because when you operate from a place of internal confidence, when you know deep down that you are the one who chooses, not the one waiting to be chosen, everything changes. Your energy shifts, your posture shifts, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself. Even the way you look her shifts. And that's when the real magic happens. But here's the hard part. This isn't about faking it. You can't just pretend to be confident and expect lasting results. Real magnetism comes from genuine self-mastery. It comes from having a life so compelling that a woman isn't the center of it. She's an addition to it. That means building a career that excites you, cultivating a mindset that doesn't break under pressure, surrounding yourself with people who push you to be better. When you do that, you stop being the guy who texts her 3 times in a row because she didn't reply fast enough. You become the guy who's too busy moving forward to obsess over her response time. And here's the paradox. The less you need her, the more she'll want you. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's rooted in deep human psychology. People are drawn to those who don't cling. They respect those who respect themselves first. So if you want to be a man that women don't leave, you have to become a man who isn't afraid of being left. Because when she senses that you're completely at peace with the idea of walking away, that's when she'll fight to stay. So ask yourself right now, are you chasing or are you attracting? Are you building your life in a way that makes you irresistible, or are you shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's world? The choice is yours, but remember this: the greatest power you have is the power to walk away. And the man who understands that will never be the one begging for love. Close with this. Stop waiting for permission to be great. Stop waiting for someone else to validate your worth. The moment you take full responsibility for your own life is the moment you become unstoppable, and the moment the right people start staying. Let's address something most men never consider. You are not auditioning for women, they are auditioning for you. This isn't arrogance, it's a fundamental recalibration of how you perceive your own value. The moment you internalize that you are the prize, not the participant, not the option, but the reward, everything changes. Women can sense this shift at a subconscious level. They're biologically and psychologically wired to seek out men who stand apart. Men who don't just occupy space, but command it. So the question isn't whether you're good enough for her. The real question is if she's good enough for you. Now, let's dissect why this mindset is so rare and so powerful. Most men operate from scarcity. They believe that it signals that the man has options, that he isn't desperate, that he's judging her just as much as she's judging him. And that's intoxicating. When you become the standard, not the suitor, she's no longer evaluating you, you're evaluating her. But here's where most men fail. They mistake being the prize for being entitled. There's a critical difference. Being the prize doesn't mean you're arrogant or unapproachable. It means you've built a life so meaningful that a woman isn't your goal. She's your complement. It means you're not looking for someone to complete you. You're looking for someone who's worthy of joining you. That's the distinction. A prize isn't something that's handed out freely. It's something that's earned. And if you want to be that, you have to put in the work. Not for her, but for yourself. So how do you cultivate this? First, you define your non-negotiables. What will you tolerate? What won't you tolerate? If you don't set boundaries, you'll attract people who have no respect for them. Second, you develop unshakable self-respect. That means walking away the second someone treats you as less than you are. No explanations, no second chances, just action. Because when you tolerate disrespect, you invite more of it. But when you remove yourself from situations that diminish you, you send a message to the world and to yourself that you are not to be trifled with. And third, this is the most important, you become someone worth chasing. That means excelling in your career. It means having a physique that reflects discipline. It means cultivating a mind that's sharp, curious, and relentless. It means having a presence that fills. Don't hold on tight. If they don't compromise, if they don't sacrifice their own standards, the woman will leave. And guess what? She usually does. Because when you act like you're replaceable, you become replaceable. But when you carry yourself with the quiet certainty that losing you would be her loss, not yours, she starts to see you differently. Not as someone she can take for granted, but as someone she has to earn. Someone she has to respect. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding human nature. People don't value what comes easily. They value what they've had to strive for, what they've had to measure themselves against. Think about it. Why do women often chase men who seem indifferent? It's not because they enjoy the challenge, though that's part of it. It's because indifference signals high value. The room when you walk in. You don't do this to impress women. You do this because anything less is beneath you. And when you operate at that level, women don't just want you. They fear losing you because they know men like you aren't common. They know that if they let you slip away, they might never find someone like you again. Now let's talk about the ultimate test. How do you react when she pulls away? The average man panics, he double texts, he compromises, he begs. The man who knows his worth, he does nothing. he stays the course. Because he understands that if she's willing to walk away, she was never his to begin with. And that's the real power move. Not chasing, not negotiating, but maintaining your frame so completely that her only options are to step up or step out. This is how you flip the script. This is how you go from being the one who fears abandonment to the one who's irreplaceable. Because when a woman realizes that you're not just another option, that you're the standard, she'll either rise to meet you or she'll disqualify herself. Either way, you win. So ask yourself today, are you acting like the prize or are you settling for scraps? Are you demanding the best or are you accepting less than you deserve? The choice is yours, but remember this, the world doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you demand. Let's confront a brutal reality. Loyalty isn't given out of obligation, it's inspired by value. Most men misunderstand this. They think if they're nice enough, if they sacrifice enough, if they prove their devotion relentlessly, a woman will have no choice but to stay. But that's not how human psychology works. People don't remain loyal because you want them to. They remain loyal because they'd be fools to walk away from what you represent. So, how do you cultivate that kind of value? It starts with recognizing a fundamental truth. Women don't leave men. They leave the versions of those men who stopped growing. Think about it. When a relationship fades, it's rarely because of some sudden betrayal. It's usually the slow, quiet erosion of respect. The man who once had ambition becomes complacent. The man who was once disciplined becomes lazy. The man who was once a challenge becomes predictable. And predictability is the death of attraction. This isn't about blame. It's about accountability. If you want unwavering loyalty, you must first become someone worth being loyal to. That doesn't mean being perfect. It means being unignorable. It means having a presence so compelling that leaving you feels like abandoning a winning team mid-game. And that kind of presence isn't built overnight. It's forged through continuous self-improvement, through an unwillingness to stagnate, through a relentless commitment to being better today than you were yesterday. Now let's talk about leverage, not in a manipulative sense, but in the psychological reality that people stay where they feel they have the most to lose. If your relationship is built solely on emotional dependency, if the only thing keeping her there is your need for her, then the foundation is fragile. But if she looks at you and sees a man who is constantly evolving, a man whose absence would leave a void nothing else could fill, then walking away ceases to be an option. This is why mission is everything. A man without a purpose is a man without power. When you're fully committed to something greater than yourself, whether it's your career, your craft, or your vision, you radiate a different energy. You're no longer just a boyfriend or a partner. You become a force. And forces aren't easily discarded. But here's the critical distinction. This isn't about convincing her to stay. It's about making the idea of leaving inconceivable. When you're truly operating at your highest level, the question isn't, why would she stay? It's, why would she ever leave? That shift in framing changes everything, because now instead of you fearing her departure, she fears the consequences of losing you. Not because you've threatened her, but because you've made yourself indispensable. So how do you put this into practice? First, you master the art of non-reactivity. When she tests you, and she will, when she withdraws to see if you'll chase, you don't flinch. You stay rooted in your purpose. You demonstrate through action that your world doesn't crumble based on her moods. That's how trust is built. Not through words, but through unwavering consistency. Second, you maintain an edge of mystery. This doesn't mean playing mind games. It means understanding that familiarity, over time, can breed indifference. So you keep growing. You stay dynamic. You remain a man who can't be fully figured out. Not because you're hiding things, but because you're always expanding. Third, and most importantly, you cultivate real options. This isn't about sleeping around or keeping backups. It's about the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're not trapped. Quenching senses that you're choosing her every day, not because you have to, but because you want to. That's when loyalty deepens. The bottom line, loyalty isn't something you ask for, it's something you command. Not through fear, not through guilt, but through being so undeniably valuable that leaving you would be a step down, not a step forward. So ask yourself today, are you building the kind of life that makes loyalty the obvious choice? Or are you just hoping she'll stick around out of pity or habit? The difference between those two paths is the difference between being left and being irreplaceable.